I want to thank you for providing me with the opportunity to speak with you tonight and share with you the great work that's going on at Park Road School this school year. And joining me tonight is Karen Socker, who is our one of the second grade teachers and our PTA rep at the building. I want to highlight in particular the goals that we set for ourselves last school year and give you an update on our progress on them and things that we've done to implement them this school year, as well as the goals we have set and actions we plan on taking in 2016-17 relative to our instructional focus for the year, our work around social emotional learning, our efforts to promote student citizenship, and the things that we're doing to promote school culture and tradition building, both old and new. In the prior school year, there were two areas that we spent significant amounts of time on at the building, at ILT, at staff meetings, and in grade level team meetings. The first involved examining research around and thinking about what it means to have an effective system of intervention, including how to best monitor student progress, and looking at what an effective intervention block looks like. Our second goal was developing a schedule that met district and building goals to support our PLC work and the intervention blocks. Our work on the former included developing a purpose statement for our RTI block, which we're calling WIN, for What I Need. And this is simply a block where a team of educators across a given grade level works collaboratively to provide instruction that improves students' growth and achievement. Part of that process, we looked at developing guiding principles for our WIN block as well. And these were research-based, and they emphasize what we came up with emphasizes flexibility for each individual grade level, regularly monitoring student progress, and ensuring that all students are engaged in meaningful work during this period of time, not just those students needing remediation. The schedule we created for this school year provides daily common planning time. It provides consistency across each grade level. So in first grade, you're going to see math being taught at the same time and ELA being taught at the same time, and the classes go to specials at the same time. And it also allows a daily WIN block that, again, provides both an opportunity for remediation and enrichment. Building on last year's work, we set a holistic building goal for this year on working to refine our implementation of the professional learning community, culture, and structures. Our goal is to ensure that in our conference days, in our staff meetings, in our team meetings, every time we're together, we're focusing on these central elements of a professional learning community. We're thinking about what it means to have a collaborative culture. We're discussing curriculum and what it is we want students to know and be able to do at each grade level. That we're thinking about how we're monitoring student progress at each grade level by developing common formative assessments and engaging in collaborative scoring of those assessments. We're also working to ensure we support students who are both struggling and excelling, and that gets at those WIN blocks. We've tried to model this work at both ILT and SEL. Both of those groups have developed purpose statements for the year. We've developed norms. They've identified instructional or priority focus areas. And then we've also outlined annual or operational tasks at both of those committees. And that's meant to serve also as a guide for teams in thinking about their norms and their focus area for the upcoming school year. To meet our building goal, we've laid out specific action steps that ensure that all staff members are on a given team, that those teams have worked to develop norms, that we're both implementing and continuing to discuss what our WIN block looks like on a regular basis, that we're providing teams with tools such as protocols for looking at student work and professional development on a regular basis, and that we're ensuring that teams have extended times to meet. We're also working to improve our systems for monitoring students. The recent Superintendent's Conference Day was an example of our work to implement our action plan. On this day, with a team of 8 teachers and we worked to plan and co-facilitate the day. We looked at the district 5-year vision for PLC work. We gave teacher teams time to develop collaborative norms. We provided teacher teams with some tools for looking at student work, as well as tools for picking apart curriculum for a specific instructional focus area. We also looked at ways to differentiate this work for teachers. So, for example, the elementary principals worked with Ms. Ward to develop opportunities for our special area teachers to get together. Our special area teachers are often singletons in each building. So we looked at ways where they could get together across the district on this conference day and think about how they could be PLCs across the district and meet with their colleagues around this process. Several of our teachers in the building also put on a session for paraprofessionals, helping them to think about what a professional learning community is and how they could play a role in it, particularly how they could support students during our WIN block. Here are some examples of the norms that we developed on this day. This is a tool that a group of teachers used and shared with their colleagues around how to pick apart a specific instructional focus area. And this is an example from several fourth grade teachers, and our fourth grade team is looking particularly at fractions this school year and thinking about that's an essential priority skill. And they're thinking about what the prerequisite skills are and the timing of teaching it and the prerequisite skills, and thinking about how they're going to assess it and how they're going to support students. So they model the process of how they ask themselves questions to look at one specific instructional focus area. We also modeled the use of a protocol for looking at student work, and our goal is that each team could take this protocol and modify it in a way that best meets their needs and also best meets the needs of the types of student data that they want to look at over the course of the school year. We are also continuing to work on our student progress monitoring system, and Mrs. Sacker is going to talk about what that looks like from the classroom teacher perspective.
So we monitor our students every 6 to 8 weeks, and with Mark, we develop ideas. We have their WIN meetings. We have our instructional challenge. Nancy Campbell comes into those meetings, and our reading specialists. And it's a time where we can look at all of the students. So in my particular grade, we would look at all second grade students. And this is new within the past few years that we've done this, but it allows us to not just see our class, but see the needs of all of the students. And when we look at their needs, we look at not just those in need of support academically for reading, but also we look at those that need more enrichment. And then we also look at like trends. So is it sight words that we need to work on, and then that formulates what we do during our WIN time. Maybe we take a group of students that need support in one area, or students that need enrichment in another area, and then interest groups within another area of that WIN time. And then the tracking, this is a tool that we use to track student progress. And again, you can look at like their Fontes and Pinnell levels. We look at their sight words. We look at their, might be fluency. We might have a pattern of students that need fluency, and then we can look at what kind of intervention we can support them with that the building currently has. So followed by how we're tracking the level of supports and focus of these supports of individual students. And then this culminates in hopefully a clear and simplified way of reporting to parents. So often these reports are reports that are given by our reading, our reading teachers, and they set goals for our students, and then they actually give parents feedback as to how they're doing on those goals, developing, progressing, and so forth. Student success meetings, the outcomes, every student, every time. Again, we're looking at all students, not just the students that are in the most need academically. We look at every second grade student, just as a, well, each grade level looks at every grade level student, but for me, it's second grade students. And then we make decisions, and it's just nice that we have a team approach to it, and it really sets, it's almost like its own PLC in and of itself. And then we can decide, are things working great, or what is it that this teacher, you know, if it's writing, maybe that would be something that I would take a group, or if it's fluency, maybe somebody else has a lot of experience within that, and they might take a group within that. And then our vision. So this is, I'm going to have Mark explain this, because this is, Mark brings this up often at our faculty meetings, and I think this is like what drives us, is that, you know, really this is a team event, and that we're not individually running a marathon, but we're working as a team, and hoping that in working as a team that we're smarter in working together, and that our time is more effective in working together.
The other thing I've tried to emphasize with staff this year is that this isn't a clean process when you're working with students and you're thinking long range. This is the heart of the work that we'll do for the next couple of years. It's challenging work, it's meaningful work, but it's also pretty messy and muddy. It's about a process and a new way of thinking, and it's not as simple as that there's a clear cut end product. So it's just a messy process and something that we'll be working on for many years to come. Another area that we're focusing on this school year is around social emotional learning, where we're working to develop common language, tools, and resources for our students and our staff. An example of our work on common language was in our opening week assembly, and it was set loosely to the story of Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. So we had Snow White and the 9 friends, the 7 original dwarfs and 2 new ones, and we had lots of volunteer staff members who participated in this event. And it was really Snow White working with the friends on how they could be their best self and do their best work in different areas of the school. We followed that up the following week. Mrs. Healy, our classroom counselor, and I worked with some 5th graders to put together PowerPoint presentations, and then we did presentations for our 3rd, 4th, and 5th graders. And I had our 5th graders do some modeling for me that served to use an example of how we can be our best self in different areas of the school from the hallway. Obviously there are pictures here, I don't know if you can see them, of students maybe not walking down the hallway in the most appropriate manner and then walking down the hallway in the appropriate manner. The footwear that we should and shouldn't be wearing outside for recess, and how to get the teachers' attention in the classroom and how we probably shouldn't be getting the teachers' classroom. And we had other examples of this, and the 5th graders had a lot of fun putting it together with me. For the primary classrooms, Mrs. Healy and I went around and we read a piece of children's literature, Franklin's Bad Day, and we used that as an example of how students could do their best work and particularly be their best self at Park Road Elementary School. We continue to have school-wide posters all over the building that emphasize this common language, as well as rubrics for specific areas of the school like the cafeteria. So you see a cafeteria rubric on the one side, and that's something that our cafeteria monitors fill out every day and they hand to the classroom teacher when they get picked up. And it's a way to reinforce the expectations we have in the cafeteria, and the classroom teacher can go over things that went well or highlight opportunities for the class to improve a bit more. All this work culminates in the development of individual classroom compacts, and I'm going to let Mrs. Socker talk a little bit about that. And they're unique to each classroom.
In my classroom and in all the other classrooms as well, we create a compact, and it's like the students own it because they create it. So oftentimes we can, figure out like we need to talk about being safe, we need to talk about how we can be our best self. But then they come up with ideas, and they're always adding to it. Even today they said, I think we should add that to the compact. So they own it, they talk about it all year long, we revisit it, we look at what's working, what's not working, we set goals for the week as to how we can fulfill our compact, what may be broken, any areas that, or is impossible to do this one area. So we do that, and then the other thing that I do within my classroom, and I brought couple of examples, is we do also in our reading groups. So they create what they would like for their name to be called, and luckily our assessments are done and now I can really enjoy our reading groups. And so this group is called Soccer Superstars. Soccer not spelled like my name, but like soccer the way it's supposed to be spelled. And they come up with, don't interrupt others when they're reading, don't give away the ending, don't tell others what to do, help each other, treat others the way they want to be treated, don't talk about others' levels, like their levels of reading and so forth. And so they really, again, they add to it as needed, and then they sign it. This is important, and they make sure that they follow their compacts with that. And we do the same thing with the classroom one, it's just much bigger. And then in my room, they earn compliments for their behavior in the cafeteria and at recess, and then we celebrate with a celebration. So our first one is this Friday, and they're looking forward to that. So.
At SEL, we've also looked at assemblies that we can hold this year to bring students together. So Snow White was the first one of the year. In December, we planned one around giving back to the community and how we can support others. In April, we're going to do one that's themed around conservation to celebrate Earth Day, and in June, we plan on celebrating our successes. We've also at SEL thought about some topics that we want to provide mini lessons to the rest of the staff on, like on things like effort and attitude, anxiety, sensory needs, and we're also thinking about ways we can connect that information to our parent community as well. In terms of the area of citizenship, we really try to bring alive at Park Road how our students can make a difference in the lives of others, both within our school community and beyond. So we have many opportunities for students to show citizenship both at Park Road and then connect to the broader community. So here you see some examples of our students at Park Road helping at dismissal at the end of the day, serving as morning announcers, getting first graders and kindergartners to the bus at the end of the day. This is an example of one of the many opportunities we have where we're connecting older and younger students together on a regular basis. So this is a year-long partnership between this particular 5th grade class and 1st grade class where they serve as reading buddies throughout the school year, and they make a year-long connection with a specific 1st grader to a specific 1st grader. Here you see students helping with the flag at the beginning and the end of the day. Ways in which we're thinking about the broader community. Last year, Flag Day, we honored those who served, and we did some fundraising for the Veterans Outreach Center, and we'll continue that this year. The current Coats for Kids Drive. Last week, we did a book exchange, which was an exchange of book kind of out of our students, but there were over 550 leftover books that we, with the help of PTSA, donated to School 33 last Friday. Other opportunities to help the broader community include the American Heart Association, and you also see pictures of students that are working to support other activities in the school that benefit their peers. Some ongoing traditions, old and new, at Park Road include our annual Back to School picnic, which was the first week of September, roller skating parties, which have begun and will go on throughout the course of the school year. And some things that we're continuing to do would be the Hour of Code, to introduce coding skills to our students, and that occurs in December. New this year is a new reading program that we're trying to implement that's themed by the month. So our first month is October, and it's students have the opportunity to read a scary book or a mystery or write a book review. And what they do with the book will change every month, and the theme will change every month, but the prizes are literacy based as well. They get to have lunch in the library, or they get to have a special reader come to their classroom, or some of our older kids can be guest readers to younger students' classrooms. So that's some of the highlights of what's going on at Park Road this school year, and how we've incorporated the goals we had last year and fulfilled them this year, and how we're trying to expand upon them for next year. So again, thank you for the opportunity to let us come in and speak about Park Road and all the great things that our staff are doing for our students and our parents and our broader community.
Thanks, Mark. Does anybody on the board have any questions, comments? Go ahead, Ted.
I was just curious, they mentioned a little bit in your presentation about the schedule. I was just curious overall how the new schedule is working out. I know you've had it for about 6 weeks. How's it going?
I think I can turn to Karen too to see if she has comments, but I think the schedule is smooth in the sense that kids and parents and staff members are getting it down, and it does provide some of the positive things that we thought about. I think one of the struggles that we're having is it's still, like, the specialist blocks are still fairly short, so to have common planning time exists, but 40 minutes by the time you get your kids and you have to pick them up, it ends up being a short block of time.
Yeah, and I think that definitely is true. As much as there's a little bit more time, you know, at an elementary level, there's always somebody that needs something. So by the time you do your emails and all that, there's not a lot of time for true PLC like work. So we would have to, you know, we incorporate it in other ways through meetings and so forth. But it is nice to be able to check in, because we all do have the same break, you know, the same special area times. So it's nice to have that time to just check in and say, okay, any ideas for reading and so, you know, so forth and that and there. I do so appreciate the fact that Melanie put out a survey for all the elementary teachers, because I think that's wonderful to get the feedback. I think it's great to get the feedback now, because, you know, when you're trying to teach somebody a new, I'm used to my schedule, so it's hard to adapt. my kids are better at it. You know, my second graders are better at it than I am at this, you know, but they'll be like, oh, you know, we have 2 today, not 1, or, you know, we're not going to gym, we're going to music. And so for me, it's a little bit different, like, are we day 1, are we not day 1? And some systems still work on Monday through Friday, and other systems are day 1 through 6. That is like right brain, left brain. So trying to get that all straight is really difficult sometimes, but it's working. You know,
And I think, you know, the positive thing is we have the common win time, which is an excellent opportunity for us to work with all students. And, you know, one of the things we need to think about, we've already started talking how we think about next year is like related services. Like there are kids that get tons of different services like speech and OT and PT, as well as we want to provide them reading support. So like where are you fitting all that in the schedule? So that's something that we will have to brainstorm next year for those kids that receive lots of services. What's the best structure to support them?
Pete, does somebody down here have a question? That was your question. Anyone else? Thanks to both you. Your report was really interesting. I really like the part that you're using all the data that we always collected and really looking at each student and using it not only to evaluate the student and what they need, whether it's help or enrichment in different ways, but also how you're using it in other ways to change instruction as you go along every day, which I think is a huge step in the right direction. So thank you. And thanks for the coffee and the tour the other day. We had a great time.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks very much.
Thank you.